How you doing today, Molly?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Kind of some big news in your life, and people can see in the background. No longer at Iowa Western, we're at Iowa Central this year.
Yep.
What kind of went into that decision to transfer to Iowa Central? What did Iowa Central do that said, Molly, this is your home?
I really think a big part that went into my decision to moving over to Iowa Central was definitely Zach and April. Just based off of like conversations I had with them, and even when I had graduated my senior year and like I was looking to, get recruited the first time. Zach actually came down and visited with me, and no other coach had done that. He kind of went out of his way to make time for me, and I felt like that spoke a lot of volumes. So I always had a very great opinion about Zach. And when I came over here, he just enlarged it with his awesome personality. Him and April, she's an amazing gal. I mean, she knows so much about wrestling and she's been a helping hand. When I got on a phone call with them, they both were really excited and it just made me excited. They, talked about working with my style of wrestling. And as you know, I have a very unique style of wrestling. So
Yes, you
I was
do.
really excited when I heard that they wanted to, kind of zone in, narrow down, and focus on what I do best.
That's awesome. So for those that don't know, I'm talking to Molly Seck, standout wrestler from Sioux City North, was an All American last year for Iowa Western and now wrestling at Iowa Central. Man, that Iowa Central team's looking really tough this year. A lot of people in. Did you say there's 40 new or 40 wrestlers this year?
Yes, exactly about 36, but rounded up, it's
That's
basically 40.
Yeah,
40 of us.
that's a lot in a room. That's really good. One of the big ones I know real well, Val Hamilton from Illinois, world silver medalist. And then a couple of Northwest Iowa girls that have been on the podcast both, and then have done real well. Lucy Cohn, Addie Hudek. Anybody else that you've met in that little short time? It's only been about a week or so that is going to make a big difference on that team.
I've heard our 103-pounder Erica. I'm not sure what her last name is, but I think that she's going to be a hard hitter this year. I think she's going to dominate pretty heavily in the 103 bracket. But I think Allie Groves is going to do really good this year as well. I think that we call her Riz, but she just transferred over from Indian Hills as well. I think that at every weight class, we're going to have some pretty hard hitters. Definitely some tough competition on our team.
Yeah, no, that you guys could make that run at that national title this year. Take it away
Mhm.
from Indian Hills for once. It looks like a great
Right,
team.
right.
When we talked last, it was probably May, June-ish
Mhm.
time, and you had said that you were thinking about transferring. The JUCO transfer is a whole different thing that I had no idea about until I started talking to you, and then I talked to a few other coaches. Um, what goes into a JUCO transfer?
So it's actually a lot of steps and paperwork that you really have to follow by. In my case scenario, I could not talk to any coaches until the 15th of July. That's when my contract officially expired. So any JUCO coaches I couldn't reach out to, or they couldn't reach out to me or talk to me, but I had the free will to reach out to 4 years or have 4 years reach out to me. So during that, those couple of months, 2 month time period, I was talking to 4 years, gathering what I could, filling out, my FAFSA, everything like that, scholarship, seeing how much money I could taken off at those 4 years. And then once that July 15th date came around, Zach called me right away. And from there, I was just like, you know what? Like, maybe I am wanting to stay JUCO because I was going to be, JUCO is always, you're going to save more money and it's better living, I feel like. I mean, I enjoy, the rooming situation and like the freedom at JUCOs, and it's not too crazy or anything like that. So when me and Zach talked and he was telling me, the things I wanted to hear, I was like, all right, like this is an easy decision. I told him right away, I'll commit. So.
Yeah. It seems crazy to me that in the NCAA you can go into the transfer portal mid-season if you want. And for junior college, you have to wait. You have a contracted year,
Mhm.
until July 15th that you couldn't contact. I mean, I guess you could contact four-year schools, but you couldn't contact any of the JUCOs in Iowa. Man, there's a lot of JUCOs now. And that's really
Mhm.
cool. I think That's exceptional that we have that option. Why did you choose the JUCO option? I think that it's something that's great for a lot of girls, but I want to hear your reasoning behind it.
So going back to my senior year when I had graduated, I did at first, I was like, I want to go to a 4 year, like, I want to be somewhere where I'm set and like, that I can work towards something at the same place for the same, amount of years and everything like that. But the more that I started to talk to like these JUCO coaches and the more facilities, especially, I think the biggest thing is facilities. When I started to tour facilities of JUCOs and I saw the difference between like JUCO facilities and then 4 years, it just kind of like 160, like, wow, like maybe I should, this is more in my comfort zone, like, so the biggest thing is definitely the facility, uh, coaching. I think coaching plays a huge part into it. The coaches at Iowa Western, and especially even over here, I've all had great connections with them, and I've all seen, they've all told me things that are more towards my wrestling style and my technique. So it's definitely more of a personal thing, who you kind of, click with better, what coach you think is going to elevate your wrestling. So I mean, for me, it just happened to be the JUCO route that I felt like, even though it's 2 years, I think that this will benefit me more than if I stay in one place and I'm just working towards the same thing for a long time.
And you may not have a whole bunch of loans to start that that
And that
that
is a
third
big
year.
thing too. Yep, you save a
Yeah,
lot of money at JUCO, a lot of money.
yeah, yeah. That's something that's really important.
Mhm.
So what are your goals this year?
This year, of course, we're aiming for that natty title. But just in general, I want to get better as a wrestler. I think that that's always the main goal is day by day, just to work on things that I couldn't do, yesterday or even 2 years ago. I think getting into college, I've grown so much as a wrestler. Like, I think that, if you put me back to where I started, I would just absolutely kill my past self, in a wrestling match. But I think now I'm doing a lot better. Sorry, people
No,
just
no,
came to
you're
me.
fine.
But I definitely think this upcoming year, I just want to get better at the things that I'm, working towards, and little things like my shots, my form, getting in my setups. Those are really big things I really want to work towards. But the natty title is always the end goal for me.
And so after Iowa Central, are we gonna transfer somewhere? Are you planning on getting a 4 year degree, or are 2 years? Are you done after that?
That's a really big question. I mean,
Mhm.
of course, I'm always pondering and looking around, and I do have some schools in mind that if I do transfer after this year, that I would want to go, over to them. But at the same time, too, it's like, you know, thinking of it's so much easier to just think of how would life be if I didn't have to cut weight and all those things. But wrestling keeps me in check. It keeps me sane. It keeps me disciplined. And I know like whatever I decide in the future, it will be what's best for me. So I think that, kind of have an idea, but I do hope I can wrestle in the future, but it's still, undecided.
What is your major? I haven't even asked you that. What are you gonna be when you grow up?
Oh my goodness. I want to be everything. I kid you not. I'm undecided. I'm just getting my generals. And that's the nice thing about JUCO too. Um, Kind of going back a little bit to the whole JUCO conversation, another big reason why I wanted to stay in the JUCO route was because I wanted to give more time for 4 years to develop. More schools, more clubs, or whatever the case may be. But I just thought JUCO was a good like point for 4 years to kind of grow and branch out. And so going back to what I want to do, even though I'm undecided, like it gives me time to like figure out, okay, what do I 100% want to do? Because at one point I wanted to be a teacher, I wanted to be a lawyer, I wanted to be a marketer, I wanted to work in business. Like, and even right now, I'm like, okay, like I want to do education, I want to do marketing, I want to do business. So it's like I'm trying to find something that is, pretty broad that I can kind of jump around and do multiple things because I'm a very social person and I really enjoy, being around other people and doing things with other people.
That's so you could be anything right now. And
Yeah.
that's okay. You know, I still don't know. I'll be 55 this year and I have zero idea what I want to be when I grow up. So don't worry about it. Don't rush it. Just follow your dreams. It'll be fine.
Right.
Um, let's go backwards a long ways.
Okay.
You did not start wrestling. You started in judo.
hmm
How do you think that judo background has helped you in the sport of wrestling?
I thank myself all the time for being that little 7-year-old girl who went to judo and threw on my gi and was throwing my dad around at practices. Like I could not imagine the wrestler I would be if I didn't do judo. Judo has done so much for my wrestling. I feel like it's made me not just, a normal wrestler, but it kind of adds some spice. It's like adding, cinnamon to your mixture of salt and pepper. Like it's just a little different. And I think that it's definitely made me more disciplined going into wrestling because there's things that I know just by muscle memory, but then those things that like I don't know with wrestling, I'm still like working towards those. But just with my judo background, it's easier to, get through those motions instead of being, brand new to wrestling, having to figure out, how do I move my hips this way? My hips kind of just will adjust, and it's kind of embedded in my soul at this point.
And it never hurts to be able to pop off one of them big throws and end a match, right?
Never, ever.
I love a throw. That's
Right.
where I live too. But
hmm
then you made a transition into wrestling. When did you make that decision to start wrestling?
It was my 8th grade year of middle school, and they had at this point in time it was only boys who were doing wrestling, so they were holding boys wrestling meetings in the commons area, and I didn't know if I could wrestle or not, but I just, I was like, I did judo, I did all this stuff. And my dad was like, you should, like, I think you'd be really good at wrestling. And like, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to try it. Like, when they bring it up, I'm going to try it. So I went over there and I was the only girl in the whole meeting of boys. And when I talked to the coach, he kind of just shrugged me off and he was like, you know what? Like, you can go talk to the sports administrator and we'll see. Like, and the sports administrator was like, yeah, you can wrestle, but you have to wear a swim cap. But then when we actually started wrestling, I was undefeated my 8th grade year. I was pounding through boys. And so the coaches were like, you know what? Like, we really want you back on the high school team. Like you did really well this season. You kind of shocked us. And I mean, I hung in well. Like I was training with the boys. I was keeping up with their conditioning. And so when it came to, going back into high school, I had no problem going and I wasn't scared. I didn't feel any anxiety about it. I was just ready to get on the mat and, see what was next for me.
And when did Sioux City North start kind of the girls team? Because I'm trying to remember back. I know you're probably was your sophomore year. Is that when you wrestled Jolynn a bunch of times? I'm trying to.
No, it was my junior year.
That was your junior year. Okay,
Yeah.
so so you're a year. Okay, I'm trying to put things all together here. Yeah, so I was trying to figure that out. When did Sioux City North put together their girls team and start competing all girls?
Mhm. So my 9th and 10th grade years, I was still on the boys team. My 10th grade year, we had a couple of girls. It was just me, Elizabeth Rubio, and Idella. And I think Idella might have even graduated before this. It might have just been me and Liz. But we had went to state, and at that time, anybody could get signed up to go. I didn't even know that there was state. So my sophomore year, when I heard about it, I was like begging the coaches. I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know that there was this big of girls tournaments happening. Like, can you take us? Like, and they made it work out. They got us up there. But then of course, my 10th grade year, that's when they had sanctioned women's wrestling and they did, the pink banners and
Uh-huh.
everything. And it looked so beautiful. And it kind of lit a fire under my butt because I was like, wait, seeing all these girls wrestle in Iowa and then coming back to Sioux City and seeing that there was no girls team, there was no girl clubs, um, and stuff like that. I was just like, we need to make this happen, like in Sioux City. Like, we need girls teams. We have a bunch of girls over here who are really good at athletics and, do well in every other sport. So it's like, I could just imagine Sioux City popping off for wrestling. And literally the next day after we got back from state, I took my happy self to the principal's office and the sports administrator. And I was like, all right, look, they just sanctioned women's wrestling. Now we need a women's team. We need coaches. We need everything. We need funding. Like, this needs to be a thing. And Mr. Koch, love he was, he's really the backbone to all of this because he's the one who got everything started. And um he helped me, I mean, he did tell me, he was like, well, let's, you gotta find a coach, but he ended up finding Ethan Swanson. And at
Uh-huh.
the time he had just graduated and he was a substitute teacher. And as soon as he heard about the position opening, he took it. And that same day I went and I met him, and I just knew that it was gonna be awesome. He told me, I think the second sentence he ever told me was, I'm gonna make you a state champ. And just having like that faith or that support, embedded into you, like after being on the boys team and kind of being excluded and kind of being put on the back burner, it meant a lot to me.
Yeah, and Sioux City, I mean, Sioux City North has done fantastic, but Sioux City itself has not consolidated. Like you got Davenport has got all the schools and all the public schools are consolidated into one. Des Moines has got Des Moines Public, it's all the public schools, and then they have several other consolidations. But Sioux City has done well. Sioux City North has a team, East has a team, West has a team. So they've really done well at building girls wrestling in the
Mhm.
western side of the state. I think that's big kudos to them. I sit in a little bit smaller school area, and we're a big consolidated co-op too. So
Right.
I'm really impressed by Sioux City, and I think even we're I just think it's a great thing that they're doing that. You talked about state. Your state experiences were varied. Your senior year, was it your senior year you got the concussion?
No, I actually ended up having a back injury.
Oh, is that
I
what it
fell
was?
on top
Sorry.
of my head, so they thought I had a concussion, but yeah, I ended up just tearing a bunch of things in my back and up through my spinal. So I did a little bit of PT, and even when I got back up to Iowa Western, in the very beginning, I was going to PT for that, and they helped a lot. The PT at Iowa Western was amazing. They took really good care of me. Uh, Even my final injury at nationals, they helped me out a lot, and they were able to get a lot of my injuries recovered.
Good. And then your year before your junior year, you had a hell of a year that year. How did that end up? I can't remember exactly. Were you state champ?
No, so I lost to Miss Molly Allen in the state
Oh, gotcha.
finals.
I thought that, okay,
Yes.
yeah, it's all coming back now. I couldn't
Hmm.
remember. I knew, so it was Molly and Molly in the finals.
Yep, yep. That was, I mean, still to this day, Miss Molly Allen is one of my favorite matches to brawl with. Anytime, I need like a up boosting, I think of that match because I'm just like, sometimes like when I just think like I'm bad, I like think about that match and I'm just like, you know what? I've grown a lot, like, and I make myself feel better. So thank you, Miss Molly Allen, because you boost my ego now, like making me feel like a better wrestler every day. But yeah, some losses, you just got to take to the chin and just grow from it. And I think I've grown a lot as a wrestler. So when I look back at things like that, I'm just kind of like, just makes me feel a lot better because it's like I know I've grown.
Yeah, and then you had a really good season at Iowa Western, uh,
Mhm.
All American. How did everything go there? How was everything, as far as the wrestling side of Iowa Western?
Wrestling up there, it was amazing. I mean, when we were, going to competitions and everything like that, I really loved the adrenaline of just back to back competing. That's what I really love about college is that it's just so back to back, and it's like you don't even really think about anything that's going on in the outside life. I know, like I've always kind of struggled with like mental health and like paranoia and anxiety and things like that. And even like right before my matches, I would deal with like heavily, feelings of anxiety. But, when you get to college and you're wrestling every day and you're, getting through these tough matches, the anxiety just kind of wears away and you start to feel a little bit better about things. I know over at Iowa Western, one thing that really, really helped me was when I did have a lot of like anxiety and I would get kind of worked up. I'd have, coaches, like my coaches, Monica, she would sit down and she'd be like, okay, like just calm down, like this is just another match. It's just like every other match. So it's, having the support there at times, it was really nice, but competing was honestly my absolute favorite thing. Getting through practices, I love college practices, even though it's a lot. It's 2 times a day. 5 to 6 days a week. It's a lot, but you feel so good after it's done. And I think that that's, the most rewarding feeling is after getting through those 2 hour workouts where you're just like, you feel like you lost 10 to 15 pounds. You're just like, you know what? I feel a lot better.
Awesome. Yeah, no, you had a great season last year. I'm looking forward to watching. I'm hoping to get over and watch some of your meets this year. There's a lot of people on that team that I know. But let's get to know you yourself just a little bit better. I think last time I talked to you, you had a pet in the dorm room. Did she, well, I can't remember if it's a cat. Did your cat
Mhm.
travel with you to Iowa Central?
Yep, she has made it to her second year of college as well.
Very good. So what's
Yep.
her major then? Is she is she
Oh,
looking for a
she's
degree?
majoring in napping, sleeping, being a menace, terrorizing people.
Now, if you could have any pet in the world, what would you have?
Probably a koala or one of them flying spider monkeys that like you stick your finger out and they just come and
Oh
wrap
yeah,
around it. I would
I
love one of those.
I've seen a lot of those videos. Actually, recently, been kind of watching some of those videos. Food is such a huge part of wrestlers. You know what we do. What are you eating right after weigh-ins?
I mean, the first thing I probably would tend to grab is like a peanut butter jelly sandwich and some water. But I mean, depending on what they have, I will eat basically anything. Like, I will make the most freaky stuff. I think last year after weigh-ins, I made like a bagel with cream cheese, turkey ham, provolone, and mustard.
That's a hell of a combination. I did
Yeah.
actually just honestly see PB&J is one of the foods that actually helps um, lengthen your life.
Oh,
I'm not
wow.
kidding you. It was studied out of like 30 different foods or something like that, and it was kind of one of those. I eat PB&J still at 55 years old, so love the PB&J.
Yep.
Um, was talking to Chloe Lloyd. I don't know if you know Chloe or not. She's coach at Center Point, but
Mhm.
she loves the frozen Uncrustable. Are
Oh,
you
yeah.
down with Uncrustables? Do you eat them frozen also?
No, so I actually heat my Uncrustables up. I like to put them in the toaster, but that's like my number one peanut butter jelly sandwich that I like to eat. I like the crust part better than I like the peanut butter jelly part.
Nice. Guilty pleasure foods. Is there something that you're like, oh my God, like myself, I could eat ice cream every day of the week. It should be its own food group. Is there something that you love to eat that you probably shouldn't, but you do?
Mm. I'd say for the most part, my diet is it is pretty clean. I mean, at times I do eat, my casual junk food, extra carbs and whatnot, but my most guilty pleasure would probably have to be like a Coca-Cola or a Dr. Pepper. I I should not be drinking it because it makes me feel horrible when I run, but it just tastes so good that I can't help myself.
Well, in Dr. Pepper, it has doctor in the name. It can't be all bad.
Yeah, it's got to help you some way.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I know, and I know we've talked about this before, you have a different take on ramen. Give us your ramen recipe.
My ramen recipe has to be, unless you're struggling or going through hard times, it's got to be cooked over a stove. It's got to be in a pan, cooked on the stove. Unless you're struggling. If you're struggling, the microwave's okay. But I like to put mine onto the pan, fill it with some water, and then at the same time that the water's boiling with the noodles, I put my eggs in there to poach my eggs and I spin it around. And I like to make sometimes I'll add my extra seasonings, my garlic powder, my onion powder. Sometimes if I'm feeling different, I'll add Old Bay or just extra seasonings from my cabinet that I'll find to spice it up. But after that, then I drain it out, leave a little bit of water, and then boom, add some Valentina, and you got some good old ramen spicy noodles.
Very nice. And if you could go eat anywhere and have anything, what would you have?
I would fly to Dubai and get a Dubai chocolate bar. That's
Have you had the Dubai chocolate bars before?
Yeah, we've made them and like we've tried them from here, but just something about like whenever, I don't know, it just eats at me because I have to taste the Dubai chocolate bar. I can't just have, the American Dubai chocolate bar. I have to have the Dubai chocolate bar. But other than that, Chick-fil-A, I could get down on Chick-fil-A every single day if I could.
Is there a Chick-fil-A in Fort Dodge?
Yes, my
Oh,
favorite place. Yep, and they have
oh,
it.
you're good to go then.
Yep.
Um, Wrestling, you get to travel a little bit with wrestling?
Yes. So this year for national duels, we're actually going to Utah. I've never been to Utah, so I'm actually pretty excited to go out there and see, um, that. But other than that, yeah, we're just kind of bouncing around Iowa. I think nationals again is at Iowa Western and Council Bluffs, so not too far, but there's a couple of good spots.
Yeah, that's something I'm actually really going to try to make it down to the Juco National Tournament. I've heard it's amazing, so I'm
Mhm.
excited to come see that. But vacation spots, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
I've really been wanting to go to Japan over the last couple of years, Tokyo, Japan, but I definitely love like I've always wanted to go to New York too. I don't know why. It's such an easy place to go to. You could drive there or take a plane and it's not as expensive, but New York is just such like during the Christmas time, it's just like aesthetically pleasing to me.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I don't know, it just gives like it would feel like Home Alone kind of,
Are,
you know?
are you gonna be a city girl then when you get all done with this?
Maybe partially, but the end game, I want to live on a farm with a couple acres of land with my pet donkey and a couple hens and roosters and maybe like 20 cats or something, farm cats.
You'll be the crazy cat lady, huh?
Yep, I'll walk outside with my moo moo and my hair curlers and my cup of coffee.
Perfect. I know you guys are busy. College students are really busy, but do you have an opportunity to binge any TV shows?
I'm actually a religious Netflix watcher. I mean, if you ask my roommates, I have the TV on every single night. And so I'd say my top three most rewatched binge shows are Dance Moms, SpongeBob, and Jessie. I watch those ones all the time. Like if I'm about to go to sleep, I'll put on SpongeBob and then I'll fall asleep. But even like leading up to that, like I'll sit and I'll stay and I'll just watch, little shows, even if I've seen the episode a million times. I just know what I like and I stick
All
to
right.
it.
I watched some SpongeBob too. We've been watching our youngest grandson is like a year old now, so we watch a lot of SpongeBob and Bluey. So, hey, I'm all about the SpongeBob. So you're good to go there. I remember watching Jesse with my kids. So good
Hmm.
shows, good
Yeah.
shows. Do you have a favorite wrestling shoe?
I love food, like food inspired wrestling shoes. So I think my first ever like real pair of wrestling shoes I ever got my sophomore year because I was like borrowing shoes up until that point, but they were Fruit Loops, the Fruit Loop
Oh,
Brutus. So they were
yep.
white on the top and then on the bottom they were like multicolored. And then the second pair I got my junior senior year was the cherry slushy ones. And I'm still, rocking those, but right now I have the Lady Liberties and those were gifted to me and I really like those. Those I guess those were a lot more popular than I thought, but they're really nice. They fit well. So I'm just kind of, I guess I'd say I'm more of a rudist girl for sure, but my shoes, they got to have some sort of theme to them or be, funky and fun.
Not bad. I like it. Um, excuse me. Have you had gear packages yet for Iowa Central, or does that day come down the road?
I think that that's going to be coming up this Tuesday. We've just been, kind of rolling around, having open mats. We've been up here for about a week, so not too much. Just kind of getting familiar with the place and everything. And but I'm excited for the gear. I heard we're getting puffers, we're getting backpacks, we're getting leggings, sweatpants. I heard they're getting us a whole closet, so I'm excited.
You might have to do like one of those gear package reveals when you get that all done. We can see what you all get at Iowa Central.
Yep, yep, for sure.
This going back into the wrestling questions here. Is there a point in your career that made like a huge impact, maybe changed the way you felt about yourself and how you view your wrestling?
Yeah, I'd say halfway through my time at Iowa Western, um, I just kind of came to this realization that, with wrestling, it has to be fun to enjoy it. It has to be fun. If you take wrestling so serious day to day, it's just going to kill your mental. It's going to kill how you feel, and it's going to make you lose your love for wrestling. It's really important to back away and take time for your mental health and address how you feel, make alone time because especially being in college, you're surrounded by people all the time. It feels like you really can never get alone time, but when you do have a minute to debrief with yourself and kind of reflect on how you actually feel, it's really important to address those feelings and take care of them before you involve yourself into, anything else.
You've had a lot of coaches, not a lot of coaches, but you've had some good coaches over your short career of wrestling, really honestly, and in the whole scheme of things, you've only been wrestling, since eighth grade.
Mhm.
But is there a phrase that while you're wrestling, you still hear your coaches yelling? You can hear that in the back of your head.
Yes. Going back to high school, one of the first, well, something that I hated to hear at the time, but I think about all the time now is that pressure is a privilege. My high school coach, Ethan Sorensen, he would always say that. And at the time, like, I'd be like, oh, like, this pressure is not good pressure. Like, this don't make me feel good. This isn't a privilege. But then, when you come home for summer and it's like the water has finally settled and everything's so calm, it's like, wow, like, I miss that adrenaline. I miss that anxiety that I got before matches. Like, it just spunks a different type of feeling into you that you don't get, being a normal college student doing things day to day. Like, and so anytime I'm in my matches and I feel out of breath or like, I start to feel like, well, maybe they might have a one up on me. I just think pressure is a privilege and it lights a fire under my butt.
That's good. I like that. Good statement. Let's go and explore your moves on your feet. What's your we're gonna do look at this two different ways because I know you love a throw. What's your best throw?
My favorite throw has to be a head and arm, or even I don't know what they call it in wrestling, but in judo it's ogoshi and it's a hip throw. So
Uh-huh.
those are like my favorite up, positions.
And then yeah, I know you've been working on your shots a lot. What's your best shot?
My single's definitely been. I've been working on it, all summer, and then on top of that, I just ending off last year, it just started to become natural for me. I was starting to just, looking at film back at Simpson compared to a film that was, at nationals. My singles they looked a lot smoother. So, but I've been working on my blast doubles too. So everything's getting, a little bit of oil on it.
Nice, nice. Let's go back to your folk style days. When you're on top, how are you turning people?
Turning people, as in like to their back.
Like yeah, what's your pinning combination on in folk style?
It had to be. Why am I drawing a blank right now? It's like when
It's
they're
been
on the
it's
ground and
yeah,
then
it's been too long.
I
Just a
know it's
half.
like, but it's so simple. I see if you haven't realized, like, I don't know wrestling, but I know wrestling.
Yep.
But it was when they'd be down and you kind of snuck your arm underneath their arm and under their head and then walked
Just
around
just
and
just little half Nelson.
half
That's it. There you
Nelson.
go. Yay. We're we're we're
Yes.
we're there. And
Yep.
so getting away on the bottom. What was your best way to get away?
I honestly love stand-ups. I think that I was just really good about popping up off my feet and, just kind of pushing and breaking out of there that I mean, I felt like I was unstoppable. When I wanted to get up, I was trying to get up. But there was some days where, I'd fall back down and I'd have to like hit a little sit out or, something like that. But most of the time I was going straight to just trying to stand up and get off my butt.
Now that you don't have to worry about all that top bottom stuff, what's your favorite turn in freestyle?
I think the one I do the best is the gut, but I love leg laces. They're so fun. You can just take somebody and get all of your 10 points within a matter of like 10, 15 seconds and just wipe your hands and be done with the match. But for me, it's always hard dangling down with the legs. I don't, I like to think I have this pretty face and I don't want to get neat and, mess up my smile or something like that. But if I see a good opportunity to, bully your legs, I'll get down there and I'll move you around.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm a leg lace guy. I can't get to save my soul. So if you could change one rule about wrestling or change something about wrestling, what would you change?
One rule I would change would be to bring back the two. I think that that has so much, like if you know, you know, but
Yeah.
if you were there, the two was just so
Yeah.
universal, you
I
know?
understand. I understand because I don't know how many times last year someone would get a takedown. I'd be like two, and it's like, oh crap, no, it's not. It's three.
Yeah. Well, and that was my favorite thing too in high school was taking people down and then the whole crowd being like two and like
Yeah.
anymore, like it just sounds weird because they'll try to do it with the three, but it's just not the same.
Yeah. I don't know how many times it'd be like two and like, oh crap, plus one. Trying to correct myself there.
Right.
So yeah, no, I don't disagree with that rule change at all. There are so many great people in wrestling, and you're still at the young enough that you have inspirational people, and you're inspiring to be. Sometimes this is a hard question to ask like a coach, hey, who do you aspire to be when they're 50? But is there some wrestler that you really look up to that you watch a lot and you're like, God, I wish I could do that?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot. I've been around a lot of women, strong women who they inspire me every day. I mean, even, just being here and seeing some of the girls, their drive and their ambition, it inspires me every day. I don't have anybody in particular that I look up to because I just love looking up to the people around me. Um, Especially, I mean, when I was at Iowa Western, some of the girls, like their work ethic was just unstoppable. Like they'd go into the room on our days off and just grind it out, and it would inspire me to get onto the mat. So, I mean, obviously, like Kennedy Blades, who doesn't want to be like Kennedy
Yeah,
Blades? But like
yeah.
at the same time, like it's just women in general in wrestling. They're all around you. They're gonna inspire you every day.
Good answer. Like it. And then last question for you, and that's not even a question. Little final thoughts for the day, something to leave our audience with, some words of wisdom from Molly Seck.
Always smile. Even if practice is hard, always try to put on a smile because there is somebody who wishes that they could be in your position and wish that they could be in your shoes. So always, always embrace the grind and work your hardest because you never know when wrestling is going to be done and you never know when your time is going to be done.
Very nice. Well, thank you very much for coming on and doing the interview. I appreciate it. Good luck this season. I hope we
Thank
see you a
you.
few times.
Thank you. Thank you.
You
Thank you
bet.
for having me too.
Oh, no problem.